So welcome to the halfway point of the 2056 season. My name is Paul, also known as the Northman, and I want to start by thanking people for your continued support on the channel. I have added 2 more tiers to the join membership option now. You can donate, I think it's $1 a month, which is just a thank you. You have $5 a month, which is a I watch regularly and want to buy you a coffee. Then you have $10 a month, which basically will get you things like a Nugent in the new game of FM when we start that series, as well as obviously the coffee, etc, etc. Link to my Discord is in the description below as well. Make sure you do head over to there for all things Football Manager, FPL, etc, etc. Now we're going to start this episode with the rankings. So the league has moved up 1 place to 16th. Now one of the things I've noticed now is players are not wanting to leave for bigger clubs. They're wanting to leave to play in bigger divisions. So that is what's holding us back now. So the league has moved up 1 place. We have stayed in 5th. And looking at the points going into next season, we are overtaking Newcastle. And we are currently 2 points behind Bayern Munich. So we could be going potentially up to 3rd. And we're not that far behind Man United. So a good Champions League run could see us go into 2nd, for example, in the European rankings. In terms of our coefficient for the country, we have moved up into 13th. So we now have, if we go into the qualification places, we now have 1 team in the league path and 1 team in the playoff round. So we now enter in the playoff round, so 1 game, and we are then into the group stage. We're actually closing in on 1 team straight away in the group stage. So moving on to the transfers in and out, we're going to start with the outs because we've had the biggest sales we've ever had in this save put together. And we're going to start with Lundamo, who's gone to Bayer Leverkusen for 75 million. Now, in the last episode, I did say if we got a bid of 75 million, we probably would let him go. I have added some depth to the squad, so now was the right time to cash in on him. So 75 million, which when you go back and look, we paid just under 20. And for 2.5 seasons, it's a big bit of profit. Next player to mention is El Nawi. Now the Egyptian who we picked up for 6.25 million. We've ended up making a £2 million profit plus the 79k a month we made from the Paris FC loan. So we've made good money on him. He has moved on, but 8.25 into the bank. Happy days. And the other big sale to look at is another 75 million. I decided, you know what, we're selling Lundamo for 75. Let's set a 75 million on Bergslid as well when a couple of clubs came in. And Leon straight away just said, okay. So after 30 appearances for the club, signed for 12.5 million, we end up selling him for 75 million. So that was 150 million on 2 players, plus the 8.25, plus 9.5 million for Otterson. Now, Otterson was going to leave at the end of next year. He was running down his contract. He wasn't going to sign a new deal. Now, on 130,000 a week, we have saved multiple millions of pounds selling him early, and we got 9.5 million. And we've replaced him with a club legend. So they were the main sales out. We will go through all the sales out after I've shown you the ins. So the first in is a 17-year-old who's coming into the under-18s. Now, yes, we only have a couple of years left on this save, but the plan is obviously then holiday 10 years into the future and see how the club and the league have done. So I do want to keep bringing in, adding a lot of depth to the B team and the under-18s, hoping that these players either help AB or move on to other clubs within the Faroe Islands. And Halverson, I think, is a very, very good player. 2.9 million. But at the age of 17, he could be a first-choice left-back for AB, 100%. Next player coming in is Kenneth Sorensen for 5 million for Midtjylland. Wow. He just looks an insanely good attacker. Really, really pleased with this signing. He has played some games for the first team. He is in and around the first team now, especially with the sale of Lundamo. He is one of our backups, and at the age of 18, very pleased. Now, this was a big signing. I started scouting him when he was at Hammarby. So George Carlson, really, really pleased again. 12 million, we almost got him for 8 last season, but we couldn't get over the line. But for 12 million, coming in and play central defence, he's better than the defenders we had. So even though I had two defenders who were contracted as important players, George Carson was a player who I just couldn't pass up on when his agent came in and said he is interested in coming to the club. Now with Bergslid leaving us, we needed to add more depth to the wide positions, and Halvard Wittsus-Tolson, I mean, what a name that is. We probably are going to rename him. 20-year-old Norwegian, media description of a wonder kid, so he is a top player, comes from Rosenborg for 10 million. Now, wow, he looks a fantastic player. He's already in the league, played 6 games, got 5 goals and 6 assists. Honestly, I could see him moving on. This could be another £75 million player in a couple of years' time. Then, just to add a little bit more depth to them wide positions, Baste Owen, a Norwegian, 22 years old. He says he's a striker. For me, he's definitely a wide man with the finishing of 6. I want to get him running down the wing, crossing it in. Very good pace acceleration. 18.5 million from Gladbach, but the fact he's not classed as a foreign player, it's another top sign in my opinion, and again, a player who will move on for big money. Quick player to look at, picking up for 1 million from Skade. A couple of players joined us from Skade this year. 16 years old, this Norwegian. Can play both wings. A couple of years now youth team. I think he could develop very nicely. Next is one of them players who we pick up and maybe move on in a couple of years time. Hopefully make a bit of money. Paul Ring. Not played a game yet. 20 years old. Comes in from Arsenal on a free transfer. And with a value of almost 10 million. I'm hoping he can assist us when we have multiple games a week with Champions League group stage, etc. But I'm hoping he could develop into a good player. Now this player, Sebastian Selmer, picked up from our feeder club. Value was between 1 and 2.5 million. So I paid the full 2.5 because he is from our feeder club, with the agreement that he will go there for 1.5 years on loan. I like him. 17 years old. I think he's only going to develop. Central stroke defensive mid. He's 6 foot. We'll see how he does. Honestly, I think we've got a decent sign for 2.5 million. This could be a bad sign. Picked up for 1 million. It was agreed 6 months ago. He hasn't come through how I'd hoped. Just turned 18, so I've sent him on loan to TB within our division, in division below, but he's gone there for 1.5 years now, so hopefully he's going to develop. If not, hopefully he gets a bond at that club, loan him back again, and maybe he joins them on a free. Couple of last minute but good signings. First off, John Horger comes in from Tottenham after going to Tottenham from, he started at Start, then went to Tottenham, went on loan to Swansea and Burnley. When he was at Start, we actually tried to pick him up when he was only about 16, 17, but he wasn't interested in coming. Ended up going on to Tottenham, but we've brought him back to the Northern European nations for 4.7 million. I've put him in our B team for this season. He's going to play and retrain in the deep line playmaker role. I think he could be a really good rotation option in 1 or 2 years. We needed a bit more depth in goal, so Ronnie Holm for 3 million from Rosenborg comes in. Very talented, 20 years old. He's a good keeper. He is a really good keeper. But finally, the sign I want to show you is Munksgaard has come back. Our academy player, aged 35, is going to end his career at AB. Now, is he as good as Otterson? No. But Otterson wanted to go. We've sold him for 9.5. We've saved 70,000 a week replacing with Munksgaard. That's the difference in wages. So worked out 7, 14, 21, 28, £280,000 a month, which is about 3.5 million over the next 12 months we've saved. Otterson's now 1.5 years left on his contract. So that's 5 million over the next year and a half just on wages. We're going to save using Munksgaard instead of Otterson. And in terms of the abilities, there's not much in it. And I really do think Munksgaard coming back to end his career. Age 35, he's got a couple of years left as a goalkeeper. Absolutely delighted to welcome him back for his, first, second, third, fourth, his 5th stint at the club. So that's 63 million spent on transfers. A few of them are for the youth teams, a few of them are to replace people who've left. Let's go through all the players who've left then over the summer. So we looked at Bergslid, 75 million. Cathal Flood, the youngster who came through and has been playing for the national team, has now gone to Vikingur Goethe. They came in and wanted to sign him, so I let him go straight away. Timo's gone on loan to Randers. And then a few loans within our league. Adam Day's gone to Luton for 1.8 million. Wasn't in and around the first team for the last couple of years, has been playing for the B team, but we did end up making profit on him. London to buy Leverkusen, 16 has left us. Now, he had been at the club since 2046, so 10 years he had been here. He's gone to Michelin for 450k. He wanted football, and we'd just brought in this Owen, or we'd had it planned to bring him in, so you know, he's been a good servant. Let him go. Age 31 now. We wanted to go and get some football. We couldn't say no. You can see there's some players gone off to our feeder club. Another one there, Michael Pedersen. Horseng, one of the goalkeepers who we have. He is a very good goalkeeper, 6'5" as well. He's gone on loan to Nykommen to go and get some first team football. And again, if he does well, he could come back and be our first choice keeper in a year or two. No reason why not. We signed for 2.2 million a long time ago. And I still have faith he could be a good keeper for the club. Sad, who we picked up for 500,000, I think it was. Yeah, we've sold for 2.2. Never settled, never looked good in games. He had a good average rating, but he definitely didn't play like that, I've got to say. And then you have the Otterson deal and then a couple of more loan deals there. So 192 million brought in on transfers. I think it's our biggest ever. 192 million. I'm just clicking through. But one thing I do want to mention, 144 there. You can see the big drop in differences. 20Ks, 14s, etc. But if we go back up there, 192 million, 117, 104, 124, 116, 144, 144 again. The last 7 seasons we've made over 100 million in sales every single year. There's a lot of players going out all the time. It is due to the league reputation. Now, it is sad that our wingers have wanted to go, etc., Berkslid and players like that, but it is a revolving door, and I do hope in the next FM we have more players who are with us long term. But at the same time, you guys will know, who have followed this series, we have a lot of players who have been with us for a long time, or who have moved on but then come back. So hopefully you are still getting to know the players, and in the next FM series, I do want to make sure player knowledge is bigger and greater. So looking at our Champions League draw then, we got drawn against Koper, who are from Slovenia, and we drew the first game 1-1. Mufasa scored for us, and we dominated with 21 shots, but somehow they got a 1-1 draw. And in the second leg, to go through, we only won 1-0 with Halvard on the score sheet. But again, I honestly didn't understand how we've only gone through 2-1. 28 shots to 2. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net in these 2 games, is the best way to say it. We just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. So our Champions League group games are going to be Inter Milan away from home, before we play Juventus and then Manchester United at home, away to Real Betis, Rapid Wien away from home, Brescia away from home. Then after the winter break we will end against Hanover at home and Dortmund at home. So there's some tough games in there, but I do think, as always now, I do have a lot of confidence we can get through to the knockout rounds. Our team has a lot of people on international duty, so excuse the vast amount of international signs, but all in all our starting squad is looking very strong, with Peter Munksgaard back in goal. Lindemark at right back, who I do want to mention has signed a new contract, and the minimum fee release is now up to 80 million from 17, which is fantastic because he has developed into a world-class player. But Lindemark at right back, Carlson and Makela played in the backline in the last game, with Hjelhog at left back, Yemeland in defensive mid alongside Vang, Owen, Noel and Halvard, and then Mufasa up top, who by the way has 22 and 16 starts this season, has really done well. And I have turned down a 35 million bid from Marseille, because losing Lundamo, we couldn't lose Mufasa on the same window. We just couldn't do it. So, but our team's looking strong. We've got Silverton on the bench for the last few games on retraining and attacking mid. He can play in all the positions. Wonder kid reputation. 6 assists in 8 starts in the league as well. Sorensen, the young guy who we looked at from Michelin, as our backup striker. And then you've got Peter Clean, who comes in to play in central defence alongside Carlson. And what I've been doing is Hjelhog drops out, And Michaela comes in at left back, but he has the instructions to make sure he takes fewer risks, dribbles less and holds position. And that's all down to the fact that he does have poor dribbling. He has a good attribute range and everything else apart from the dribbling, so I just ask him not to dribble too much. But if we're playing a good side, that's the backline I would go with, because Michaela, Carlson and Clean are 3 centre-backs basically, and they're very, very good centre-backs. And Peter Clean, as an academy player, just adds a lot, I think. He plays for the club at the end of the day. But when you look now, we have Munksgaard in goal, Clean in defence, Vang in defensive mid. And then, for example, in some games, Dalsgaard comes in attacking mid, which means academy player, academy player, academy player, and another academy player, which is fantastic to see. And Dalsgaard, aged only 22, has 35 caps for the national team now. I mean, look at him. He's an insanely talented player. And a few years ago would have been guaranteed a start in this squad. But at the minute, he's on the bench and as a rotation option, because we've got this Anderson Knoll, who, I'm sorry, but at the age of 19 is just insane. And we paid 30 million for him. Honestly, it's another 75 million, 100 million player in a year or two. But we're looking good. The team's looking solid. We've pushed on. We're into the Champions League group stage again. We've made our summer transfers. I'm loving life. I'm loving life. My name is Paul, also known as the Northman. Thank you for your support on the channel and on this video. We've just passed 260,000 views on FM23. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time.